Hello and welcome to Thinkpodpowered by the FII Institute. For more than 30 years, I led Sky News' coverage of global events, holding to account the politicians and change makers shaping the world of today. In this series, filmed at the 6th Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, I've got the opportunity to question those shaping the future. At this inflection point in our history, how can we ensure that the future is one of prosperity and opportunity for all? This episode, we're joined by John Pagano, Chief Executive of the Red Sea Development Company, responsible for an $8.8 billion gigaproject in Saudi Arabia.
We're building the biggest tourism destination in the world, powered by renewable energy 24 hours a day.
We discuss the role of tourism in diversifying the kingdom's economy and the necessity of doing it sustainably. Well, Mr. Pagano, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on ThinkPod. I'd like to start by asking everybody to introduce themselves. Could you do that, please?
Sure. My name is John Pagano. I'm the Group Chief Executive Officer of Red Sea Global.
And in the simplest terms, describe Red Sea Global.
So Red Sea Global is a developer that is born out of Vision 2030. We're developing two of the country's giga projects, Red Sea and Amala. Both are instrumental to helping to diversify the economy. They're two luxury tourism destinations. And the reason Red Sea Global, just to put it into context, we've been trying to lead the global transition towards regenerative development. And our mandate has grown tremendously to include a dozen other projects up and down the whole west coast of Saudi Arabia. So we felt that Red Sea Global was a more fitting name for the group, really to represent our ambitions. And maybe one day we'll go abroad and look at opportunities elsewhere in the world.
Can you tell us a little about your background? I mean, how you got to be where you are?
Well, look, my background is I've been in the real estate business for the better part of almost 40 years now. I spent a good deal of my time in London. I was part of the executive team that conceived of and ultimately developed Canary Wharf, which is a large central business district. It's a very important part of the London office scene, very important from a financial services point of view. I also then went on to run a real estate company in the Bahamas, where I was developing a large-scale tourism destination, and then I found myself here in Saudi Arabia, really leveraging my experience of having developed large-scale projects, developing organizations literally from scratch, so starting as startup organizations and building them into much bigger organizations to ultimately deliver and execute large-scale projects.
And how did you end up here?
I got approached and I was intrigued enough to come and explore it, though having no prior interest in being in the Middle East. But when I did come to Saudi Arabia, I actually met with His Royal Highness, and he shared with me his vision for what he wanted to do in the Red Sea, but more importantly, his desire that whatever we do, we protect and enhance the environment so that future generations could enjoy it. And then I got to meet a number of my now Saudi colleagues, and I was just taken by their enthusiasm, their passion, their optimism for their future, for their country. And I felt this is much more than delivering a large-scale project. This was potentially being part of a transformation of a country, which was really a very unique experience. I often say it's going to surprise and delight people because, like myself, when I first visited, I was like, okay, it's desert. That's what I'm expecting. And they whisked me off to the site, and I had no idea that you'd find beautiful islands and thriving coral reefs, and essentially the scene that you would see in the Caribbean. And then there's mountains and verdant areas and, the history and the culture of the country. What an amazing combination. And then, to top it all off, you've got the famed Saudi hospitality. I mean, they're so welcoming as a people, which is kind of the opposite of what I guess the global perception is.
Well, tell us about the vision for the Red Sea development.
So Vision 2030 is about accomplishing a number of different things. Above all, it's one of the drivers of diversification of the economy. I think everybody knows that Saudi's economy is largely driven by oil. And we're trying to diversify the economy. And tourism as an industry sector is one of the most important economic sectors globally. It represented over 10% of global GDP. It was responsible for employing 1 in 10 people worldwide. In fact, in the 5 years preceding COVID, it was almost 1 in 5 people, so 20%, which is great. So it kind of fits that narrative. And so, that's what the essence of the Red Sea project is about. It's really to help put Saudi Arabia on the global tourism map. The destination covers an area of about 28,000 square kilometers. So to put it into context, it's a little bit smaller than Belgium or twice the size of the Bahamas. So it's a big landmass, but the approach is different. It's not just about building a tourism destination. It's about setting new standards in sustainability. And in fact, we've moved away from just saying sustainability because I've come to the realization and conclusion that sustainability is no longer enough. The world is in crisis. We're in deep, deep trouble. And, we're not acting quickly enough. Red Sea is about changing the narrative. It's about regeneration, actually trying to undo the damage that we as humans have caused to our planet. And we're using the platform of Red Sea to drive others around the world to follow our lead.
I mean, how many islands are we talking about?
Well, the Red Sea project area is about 90. But the beauty is they've never been touched. They've never been developed. And we're in this very fortunate position with a clean slate, with the benefit of history and the experiences that we've learned from. We can do it right. And that's what we're doing. We spent more time studying and understanding our environment before we set about master planning, well before we started construction. And everything that we do is driven by our desire to not only protect the environment, but actually proactively seek to enhance it.
But along the Red Sea, how will communications to the project go?
So it is remote. We've just built a new
It's
international...
one of its attractions, I guess.
It is. But we've built an international airport. Look, I've been in the hospitality business or development business for a very long time. And when you deal with destinations, airlift becomes super critical. And so the location of a new airport so that it can serve the scale of this destination was very, very important. And we have now constructed and indeed completed the air side of the airport. The airport will open in the spring of next year when we open our first 3 resorts. So we're the first of the gigaprojects to actually open our doors to visitors from Saudi Arabia and indeed around the world. And the year after, between Red Sea and Amal, we're going to open up another 21 resorts. So we're going to add 4,500 hotel rooms to the offerings here in Saudi Arabia, but of a totally different standard to anything that exists anywhere.
And what about ground communications to the major cities?
So ground communications, obviously there's roads, there's a highway that runs north-south along the coastline. We got good airlift from all the major cities in Kingdom. So I think communications won't be an issue. And if you think about it, from Riyadh to Red Sea, it's about an hour and a half. From Jeddah, it's 1 hour. So it's relatively short distances. You can drive from Jeddah in about 5 hours. It's a 500-kilometer drive. So I think we're connected, but our whole ethos also addresses the mobility within the destination. So we're going to be net zero day one. We're using electric vehicles, hydrogen-powered boats, buses are electric, some might be hydrogen. I'm even experimenting with a hydrogen-powered seaplane because some of my islands are offshore by about 30 to 40 kilometers, and I will fly them from the airport to their island in a hydrogen-powered seaplane. How cool is that?
And what is the sort of offer, the essential offer? Are we talking beach holidays? Are we talking sea, fishing, diving?
Well, look, I think the way I describe our destination is an integrated tourism destination. And clearly the sea and the islands and everything that surrounds it in terms of diving and snorkeling is a big feature of that. But we're also developing inland destinations, really taking advantage of the unique and diverse topography that we have. So we've got a desert camp that we're building. It's a 76-key resort. It's in the sand dunes, but it's on a plateau that offers beautiful and distant views down canyons and with high rising terrain. And then we have another mountain resort. So what we're trying to create is, because the biggest challenge in when people go on vacation is they get bored. So we're offering different experiences. You can have multiple experiences on a single trip. So you can spend some time on sun and sand. You can go and experience nightlife in the desert like the Bedouins did. You can go stay in one of our mountain resorts. We even have volcanoes that we're going to develop resorts around as well.
You've got volcanoes there. You're not going to build them.
No. The volcanoes exist.
And who do you think are going to come? Who are you aiming for?
Well, look, so our underwriting assumes a 50-50 split. So we would expect 50% of our visitors to come from Saudi Arabia and the region, and the other 50% would be international travelers. Because when you think about it, as I said before, I think we're going to surprise and delight people in a manner that they never imagined. We're very accessible to Western Europe. London to the destination would be probably around 5 to 6 hours. The time zones, there's only a couple of hours difference. So I think it's going to be very, very attractive. And, we've done our own market addressable demand, and we're very comfortable that, that 50-50 is easily achievable. But notwithstanding that, the domestic demand and regional demand is more than enough to support the underwriting of the project.
As you were saying, Saudi Arabia has the advantage of oil and therefore money. How's that affected you as a planner of construction? I mean, completely different values from trying to scrimp and save in other projects.
Yeah, look, the oil has helped, obviously. That drives the coffers for the country, but we didn't skip a beat. Throughout the COVID period, when oil prices dropped to historic lows or recent historic lows, we weren't told slow down, stop spending. The opposite. Go faster, build faster. So, it helps to have that backing, but it also allows us to do things that I guess we're slightly not constrained by the same commercial pressures that you would face in a different type of environment. It's allowing us to do things on a scale that's never been done before. We're building the biggest tourism destination in the world that's powered by renewable energy 24 hours a day. The largest microgrid system in the world, powered by renewable energy. The largest battery storage system in the world at 1.2 gigawatt hours. We're trying to use this platform, as I said before, to really showcase to the world that there is a better way, that the technology exists, all that's lacking is the will. It costs us more money, but I believe that consumers will support us because of the extra steps that we've taken to safeguard the environment and indeed help to undo some of the damage.
How are you generating the renewable energy?
Solar, as you would expect. We get 360 plus days a year of sunshine. We get statistically no rain. So the sun shines virtually every day. The challenge with renewable energies is storage. And so we use batteries to store the power. So we'll generate the power in the daytime, charge up the batteries, and at night they discharge to power the lights and the air conditioning and so on.
So it's enough for the aircon?
Yeah. We also use techniques such as we produce chilled water during the daytime, we store it, and we draw the cold water at night. So much like the batteries,
sure,
we're using thermal storage to offset our peak demand in the evening so that we don't have to put more batteries. But it's all engineered to work. And again, all this technology has existed for many, many years. So we're just putting it all together in a fashion that hasn't been done before, on a scale that hasn't been done before, all in the interest of, as I said, trying to really push the narrative forward. COP26 was a crucial point, but I'm fearful that all we do is talk. And more people have to take that first step. And maybe by doing it differently, and consumers are becoming increasingly aware of their environmental impacts and want to travel more responsibly, if more people travel here because of what we've done, it'll put pressure on others to follow suit. And that's sort of our ambition.
You're obviously not a Saudi, I don't think.
No.
What about the local involvement, the local expertise versus what you've had to bring in to build this project?
That's a good question. We're 50-50. We have 50% Saudis in our organization. By the way, we're 2,400 strong, so we're a big company now. The Saudi has got a very young population. I think something like 70% of the population is 35 years of age and under. They're highly educated. And what they've lacked in the past is opportunities. What I did when I first joined was I challenged the business as usual approach, which is to bring in consultants to create these destinations, and then all that knowledge disappears. So I set up from the very beginning to build a vertically integrated real estate company with the ambition that we would use it to help upskill young Saudis to be part of the future. They would ultimately inherit. That will be my legacy, not the project, but the company that I create will be the legacy for the kingdom. And we've got great talent in the organization. We're focusing a huge amount on upskilling young Saudis. We have 220 scholarship students at the University of Prince Megrin, which is doing a joint program with École Hôtelière de Lausanne, an international hospitality management degree program. So we're training the managers of the future. We have 1,500 students in vocational training across all of the different skill sets, from hospitality to engineering to renewable energy, security, even aviation services. So they're hungry, they want these opportunities, and the platform that we've created is allowing those opportunities to be realized.
And the construction workers?
Construction workers, the engineers, a lot of the engineers are Saudis that work within the contractors. The actual workers themselves are coming more from Pakistan and Bangladesh and Nepal, but that's typical of the region.
It's been an issue in the Qatar project.
Sure.
Have you tried to make it better for them?
Absolutely. So, we've prioritized all our workers. We built our construction worker village in a manner that has never been done before, where we devoted more space to the workers. We created outdoor spaces so that they had recreational activities. We have cricket pitches, we have football, we have basketball, we have cinemas, we have Wi-Fi so that they can connect with their families. We've gone the extra mile to ensure the well-being of our workers, not only our staff, but also the workers, because we're of the view that if we take good care of the workers, then they will build with great care. And for us, it's a win-win situation. So we learned the lessons of what's happened in Qatar, what's happened in the UAE in the past, where workers have been abused, and that's not our thing. We want to make sure that everybody is fulfilled. We take care of their physical health, their mental health. We built medical centers. Again, nobody does this, but we took the decision that it's the right thing to do, and we benefit from it in the long run.
So clearly Saudi Arabia has a conservative culture, so will you be able to have Western tourists stripping off and sunbathing in bikinis and things like that?
Saudi Arabia is changing. I've seen so much change in the 5 years that I've been here. It's remarkable. Western attire will be perfectly acceptable within the destination. Obviously, if you wander into some of the old towns, then we would expect people to respect local customs and cultures. But within the resorts, you can wear bikinis if you're so inclined without any issues.
And within the vision, what about alcohol consumption?
No, look, alcohol is not on the agenda. I don't think it's absolutely necessary. There's a new industry evolving, which is really surprising. So the low alcohol industry, so no alcohol, low alcohol beverage industry is booming. It's predicted to be hundreds of billions of dollars worth of revenue. I think COVID has accelerated people's awareness of their own health. And although people want to be seen to be sociable and be in a bar setting, they don't necessarily need to or want to consume alcohol. So this new industry seems to be a reflection of changes in people's perception.
So within the vision, the intention is to stay at no alcohol?
Correct.
And is there a termination point, as it were, a date where this project is completed?
We'll probably be done before 2030. That's the ambition for Red Sea. But as I said, my mandate has grown to many other projects. I've got Amala, which is another project a couple of 100 kilometers to the north. That's underway.
What's that, a coastal one?
It's another coastal one. And then we're going to go south. We have projects all the way down, almost touching the Farasan Islands. So the enterprise will continue. The project will end before 2030.
So finally, your personal ambitions and hopes for the next decade?
My personal ambitions is to continue to deliver for the kingdom. I want to put Saudi Arabia on the global tourism map, but I want to make sure that in that journey, I uplift as many young Saudi lives as I possibly can, because I'm in love with them. They're so passionate. They're so enthusiastic about the future. I really want to deliver for them apart from everything else.
John Pagano, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
In these turbulent times, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to Thinkpod for more insight and analysis.